All right, so today we're diving into the world of 3D technology. And, we're not just talking like those virtual tours everyone's seen online.
Right.
This is different. We're going way beyond that with this guy, Dan Smigrod. He's like a total pioneer in this whole 3D space.
Yeah, we always say the future is now. Well, this guy, Dan, he's living proof. He was exploring 3D environments back in the late 80s.
Seriously, I was looking at his LinkedIn, and it mentions this publication from way back in November '87 called Photographer Dan Smigrod. And
Yeah.
get this, he was already doing 360-degree virtual tour images using some platform called www.TourWrist.com.
Wow. Talk about ahead of his time, right?
I know, it's crazy. Like, how did he even...
It's like he just knew where technology was heading
Yeah,
before most people even knew what 3D was.
yeah. And it's fascinating how that early stuff seems to have shaped his whole career.
Totally.
So fast forward to today, and his LinkedIn is like a who's who of the 3D world,
Yeah.
based in Atlanta network of over 4,000 followers. That's some serious influence.
Oh, yeah.
And he runs this thing called the We Get Around Network.
Or WGAN-TV. It's basically like a hub connecting people buying and selling 3D virtual tours.
Which makes total sense when you think about it.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. He doesn't just, like, connect people.
Yeah.
He gives them the tools to innovate.
Yeah.
Like, recently he shared this WGAN-TV episode with Tom Sparks, the CEO of Sparks Media Group.
Yeah.
And they did this deep dive on creating videos from Matterport tours.
Oh, wow. So taking those tours and turning them into actual videos,
Yeah.
that's huge. Think about it being able to create dynamic video content from a 3D environment. That changes everything for marketing education, even just showing off a space in a way that really grabs you.
It's like injecting those virtual tours with a whole new level of, like, excitement, you know?
Totally.
And the thing is with Dan, it's not just about making things look pretty. He actually lists real estate photography as a service on his profile. But his latest articles, they suggest something much bigger.
Yeah, it's clear he sees 3D going way beyond just real estate. Like there's this article from October 13th, Matterport Service Providers. Empower your facility manager clients with SimOn, powered by SimLab and Matterport.
Wow, even the title is a mouthful.
Right, but it hints at a whole new application for this technology.
Totally. And that's not even scratching the surface. On October 12th, he posted 10 use cases. Matterport plus SimLab stages, split screen compare view feature. Then on October 9th, it was 20 questions and answers, getting started with Matterport plus SimLab SimOn.
Wow, he's on a roll.
It's like he's laser focused on how 3D models can be used for things like facility management, even building information modeling, which is like having a digital twin of an entire building.
And that's where things get really interesting. Imagine being able to remotely diagnose problems in a building or plan renovations with this crazy accuracy, all using a 3D model.
That's powerful stuff.
It is.
And it's not just buildings either, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's even looking at hospitality tech, which is fascinating.
Right. Like, remember how he was just at that Hospitality Tech Expo in London?
Mm-hmm.
It ended just the other day on October 16th.
Yeah, and he was there with SimLab and Next Automation Software GmbH.
And get this, he posted about their live demo of Redacted.
Ooh, very secretive. Makes you wonder what it could be.
Right. Knowing Dan is probably something pretty revolutionary.
Definitely. It makes you think, what role could 3D play in, the future of hotels and stuff?
Exactly. Imagine, checking into your hotel room, and instead of that lame map on the wall,
Right.
you could explore a whole 3D model of the hotel, even the whole city.
Whoa, that would be so cool.
Right. You could book excursions, order room service, all within this 3D world.
It'd be like having a virtual concierge.
Exactly. And I feel like someone like Dan, he totally gets how to tell a story. And he sees the potential of 3D like nobody else.
Ah.
I feel like he could really change that industry.
But here's the thing. This isn't just some tech guy who stumbled onto something cool.
Right, what's his background? It's actually pretty interesting. He's got this whole journalism thing going on. Remember we talked about his experience on those student newspapers back at UNC Chapel Hill?
Yeah, he was on the board of directors for the Daily Tar Heel, right?
Yeah.
And business manager for the Daily Northwestern.
Yep. And don't forget, back in December 2009, he published this thing called That's Great, all about ideation to create value in the entertainment space. He was already thinking about new media spotting trends back then.
Wow, so those skills are super valuable in any field, but especially in a world that's changing as fast as 3D is.
Totally. It's like all that time honing his communication, figuring out how to tell a compelling story, it all led him to becoming this 3D innovator.
It's like he was training for this his whole life.
It's true. And the coolest part is he's not just building the technology, he's building a whole ecosystem around it.
That's where Sphere comes in, right?
Yeah, exactly. That project he started back in July 2013.
The definitive home of 360 to each content. He's not messing around.
Not at all. We're talking a multi-award winning app. 20 patents, pending partnerships with huge names like Sony Samsung HomeAway. This is a guy with a plan.
Yeah, he's playing the long game.
Totally. It's like he's not just thinking about what 3D can do now. He's building the platform for what it'll be able to do in the future.
And when you think about it all together, it's like, wow, this guy's thought of everything.
That's pretty impressive, right?
It really is. It's not every day you see this level of vision, you know?
It really is. Like he's building the railroads and designing the trains at the same time, you know? And it makes you think like, what does all this mean for us? You know, like when someone's out there building the definitive home of 360-degree content, what does that even look like for how we experience the world?
Right. It's huge. And we've just been scratching the surface with real estate and buildings and hotels. What about something like education?
Whoa, yeah.
Can you imagine if instead of just reading about the pyramids, kids could like walk through them virtually?
That would be amazing.
Right. Or what about healthcare? Surgeons could practice surgeries in a 3D space before ever even picking up a scalpel.
It's like the possibilities are endless.
Totally.
And I think that's what makes Dan Smigrod someone we should all be paying attention to. He's not just talking about what 3D could be. He's out there actually building it.
He's proof that the future comes from the most unexpected places sometimes. And that sometimes being ahead of the curve means being patient enough to wait for the rest of the world to catch up.
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of Dan Smigrod and this whole universe of 3D technology. We've gone from virtual tours to like the future of how we do everything. It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
But I think the biggest takeaway here is that the next time you see some cool 3D thing online, don't just see the tech. See the visionaries behind it, the Dans of the world who are shaping the future one pixel at a time.
Well said. I'm ready for the next deep dive. How about you?